So what happens is they do the applications.
Hi, Joe, how are you? Yeah, we have actually, right?
Not the seasonal, but full-time ones.
Right, got it.
And the rest
You guys want water or anything?
No, nothing.
You sure? You're fine.
Joe.
Hey, Laura.
How are you?
Welcome aboard.
Thanks.
Nice to see you. Yeah, fantastic.
Thanks. Happy New Year.
Hey, Darren. How are you? Nice to see you. Happy New Year. Yeah.
We're going to flank you. We're going to have a
Beautiful. Wow. I'm surrounded by beautiful women. That doesn't happen every day.
It happens every day.
Every day when you go home to your 3 girls.
Yeah, that's true. That's what I was.
Just reminding you.
Yeah.
Guess you forgot.
Say that out loud.
I feel like I'm at home. I think Bishop coming out with the bag. Oh, you got the... Hold on one second. I apologize. Let me just get...
I don't know.
Oh, you have your bag. Sorry.
Yeah, Bishop's
Their
there.
lunch is coming at 6:15.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know about Mr. Salanitro.
Let me just get 1 second. Sorry. Yeah, Benny unfortunately is sick.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's...
Good, he's not here.
You know, in the whole world. But my house is on, I can see your thousand.
Oh, my. So you're selling days, huh?
No,
No, I mean, I figured you, of course. I know you do.
I'm not going out with the winter, not with this hockey facility.
What's your costume? I haven't really followed it. It's just the chamber meeting last month, I think it was. Sounds interesting. So it's, I mean, it's a very interesting and they can go over to yeah, that's just it when it becomes a spectator thing. Before
Sorry, can I get water?
Fine, thanks.
I grabbed my own. They offered. Did you like water?
No, no, thank you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, you guys came
So,
prepared,
work
but
is
like
good?
anyone that's hot
Yeah,
at the
that's
press
great.
just as
Thank
well. I
you.
think we should
All
be the
right,
same, hopefully.
I have a printed part of it.
Okay, well, ready? Okay, City Councilwoman, City Councilwoman?
Yes, yes.
Councilwoman Brett, would you lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, well, welcome City Councilwoman Brett.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Rye-Town Park Board.
Thank you.
So, you ready to go, Mr. Nowak? Apologize for the delay getting the meeting started this evening. Can I get a motion to bring the meeting to order?
So moved?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, terrific.
All right.
Now, the minutes from the December 18th,
We didn't have it. November.
sorry, actually it says December 18th, it's the November meeting, because we didn't have a December meeting.
I wasn't there, so I don't know if I can vote on this.
I will,
okay.
well, sorry.
All right.
The,
Yes, there was no, those actually should read November 20th,
right.
if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
And you were not here, Councilwoman Brett. So, any comments, questions on the minutes from the November 20th meeting? Can I get a motion to approve?
So
We have
moved.
none? There are only 3 of us?
Yeah, I think so.
Right, I don't think I can vote on this.
No.
No.
Right.
3 of us?
No, but you can vote as an abstention, and it still is
Right,
four of you.
that's exactly.
Okay.
Okay?
But Mayor French said he...
Yeah, he'll be delighted
It'll
to
be
meet.
delayed, so maybe we should just...
Okay, we'll hold off. We'll hold off.
Casey
That's
said he
fine.
Casey had anything.
Casey has any comments. Actually, before we go to comments from the public, I was going to let Mayor French introduce our newest councilwoman. And, I can tell you from my standpoint, having worked with Councilwoman Brett at the Rye Historical Society and the 350 years of the town of Rye, very much enjoyed working with you together. I'm thrilled that you've decided to join us on the board, take the third Tuesday of every month, and help us make Rye Town Park as good as it can be. So welcome aboard. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be on the Rye Town Park Commission. I care a lot about the park, and I live near it and use it regularly, so I think it's I'm terrific to be a part of the decision-making tonight.
Well, actually, if truth be told, I remember, I think it was, Mayor French had recently been elected, and Caroline Walker had a Rye Town Park meeting in her house to talk about traffic issues. And I remember you particularly said, during the summer there were so many cars and it's so crazy that you basically didn't use the park in the summertime. And I remember for me that was sort of a decisive moment. I said, if Laura and her family can't use the park, then we've got to do something about it. So you've already had an impact, and I look forward to many further impacts. Okay, now I see a lot of people here tonight. I'm sure there's a lot of comments from the public. So without any further wait, let's take comments from the public. Yes, please. Yeah, I just come up here, and then if you could just welcome. Thanks so much. If you could say your name and address for the people at home.
Hello, I am Pilla, and I'm a resident of the city of Rye, and I have a proposal tonight that I'm hoping you will look favourably on. In the wake of the tragedy in Sandy Hook in Newtown, Connecticut, myself and a group of mums from Rye have gotten together, and we have liaised with the parent-teacher organisation of Sandy Hook Elementary School, and we were, like everybody else, very touched by the tragedy and wondering what on earth could we do that would perhaps help the families of these children. So we have put a proposal together that has been very, very well received by the parent-teacher organisation of Sandy Hook, and we are proposing that we would invite every parent of the school to spend a day, or the moms of the school, to spend a day in or around Mother's Day with us, a group of moms from Rye. We propose that we would transport them down from Newtown down to Rye, and that it would be during the school day, and they would arrive to the park and to the beach, and we would have a welcoming coffee. We would rent out one of the pavilions. We would have a meet and greet there, and then the moms would be given a great variety of activities that they could participate in during the day. We have already got lots and lots of volunteers on board to do boot camp on the beach, to do yoga, to do Pilates, to do massages. We'd actually love to look into the possibility of using the pier by the tiki bar to perhaps do some kayaking or some boating. We'd also envisage doing walks to Edith Reed Sanctuary, and then we propose with the assistance of the Friends of Rye Town Park that we would sponsor a bench for these families, and that we would have a dedication and remembrance service at some stage during the day. And along with the bench, we would hope that we would have a bulb planting ceremony, so that lots of moms during the day can plant a bulb, and that perhaps they and their families will come back at a different time and visit the beach. So the proposal, that the date that is mutually convenient for the moms of Rye and for the parents of Sandy Hook is Thursday, May the 15th, and we have a provisional number of 200, and that would include volunteers and moms. But as we say, it's early days, and we've only just approached the PTO with this, but they really did receive it warmly and felt very touched that we wanted to spend a day with them.
Wow, that sounds like a terrific idea. Thank you for taking the lead on that. I'm confident I speak for the board when I say you'll have the full support of the board for that effort, and anything we can do to make that day more beneficial and more rewarding. Certainly we would encourage you to talk to our staff. I don't know if you know Mr. Nowotnik, but we will instruct them from the board to do everything we can in our power to make that day more rewarding for you, and thank you so much for that initiative.
Thank you very much.
It dovetails very well. It's pre-season. It's a Thursday, not a weekend. Fits like it
before
well.
Mother's Day.
Right before Mother's Day. That's terrific. Thank you so much. Thank you. So that's why I think we need more Irish, or Irish in, sorry, it's an Irish American. Other questions, comments from the public? Bishop, you have another pen.
I gave it away already.
Majority, okay, that's fine.
Hold on, wait.
Okay,
Good.
there you go.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Don Sony, Rybrook. I'd like to ask the board, before the public is allowed to speak, maybe you could speak about some of the problems that are happening at the beach, and maybe we can have a better input on what's going on, rather than just getting up here and talking about some of the situations that have arisen in the past month. Is that possible?
Yeah, certainly, absolutely. We have to talk about what problems and what you're describing. I'm not sure what we'll get to on the agenda today. If you have a specific problem or issue, we're happy to bring it up, and we'll certainly give you another opportunity to come up and talk during the meeting. So please, yes, absolutely, feel free to come up.
Okay,
raise your
thank
hand. Yep, thank you. Other questions, comments from the public? Okay, terrific. Please.
You want us to have some preliminary comments?
Yeah, please. Well, there's been a lot of, sorry, I just want to give the people, yeah.
Because I think that it's important that we
Sure.
speak also.
Yeah, absolutely.
My first name is Deirdre. My last name is Carvin. And I made a video last week.
Nice to meet you.
I don't know how many people here have seen it. I know it got a lot of hits on YouTube, and I have a lot of questions. I want to start out by saying that this is not a personal attack or vendetta on anybody here, nor is it politically motivated. Nobody's telling me what to say. This is all coming from me as a concerned resident of both parks, both Rytown Park and Crawford Park. I go to both parks frequently. Just because I live in Rye, I'm at Rytown Park more, but I'm at both of these parks a good deal of the time. I'm going to assume, I know that Joe has seen the video, I'm going to assume everybody sitting up here has seen it.
Yes.
To everybody's credit, all of the problems outlined in that video were taken care of immediately. And in one way that's great, but in another way it highlights that because they sat there for months unaddressed, one of the questions that came up for me was, if it was so easy to fix them, why did it take so long to get it taken care of? It kind of almost highlighted for me the level of inattention that is given to Rytown Park. And I spent time at Crawford Park. Crawford Park was devastated after the hurricane. I was up there, and I stopped counting at 35 trees, and I was told it was close to 40 or more, and it was heartbreaking. It was great, big, beautiful old trees. I understand that that was a much bigger cleanup job, but we had a dead seal on the beach for 3 weeks at Rye Beach that didn't get cleaned up until we called in. The whole lower end of the park smelled like rotting seal. It took a phone call to get that cleaned up. It's not the public's job to let you know. If I see something really wrong or really out of place, I went down there one night last winter or in the early spring, and it had been a rainy day, and I was the only person down at Rytown Park, and there was a tree that's come down, but it had a light fixture on it. And the light fixture went into the ground. This tree just came down in one of the last few storms, but it for years had a light fixture on it that was run into the ground and connected to the rest of the lights. And I came down there one night, there was nobody around, and the ground was on fire, and there were sparks coming out of it because of the electrical connection. Of course I'm going to call when I see something like that. I called the police department. I waited for them to arrive so that I could show them what the problem was. I'm not going to walk past something like that and say, you guys should have known about it. But lights that were down there that were fixed this week have been out since last summer. I was down there on sweltering summer nights in August, and those lights on that path, some of those lights were out. You had full staff on at the time, tons of staff all over the place, and nobody did anything to fix them. The idea that you guys couldn't possibly know that lights are out because you don't go down there at 10 o'clock at night is not a valid response. Because first of all, if you have a park that's open into the evening, somebody should be checking on it at night. And I didn't make that video at 10 o'clock at night. I made that video at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's within everybody's working hours. So that argument doesn't fly too well with me either. The only thing that was affected by that hurricane were the signs that came down. The signs came down in the hurricane. Everything else that was on that video has been long-standing. It was accumulating and accumulating and accumulating. And we all kind of go down there thinking, well, Somebody's in charge of the park. Somebody must know about this. Somebody's going to get around to fixing this eventually, but nobody really knows. The people that go to Right Town Park, this is a very convoluted system of running these parks. People that go to these parks don't even know who's in charge of fixing things. They wouldn't know who to call. They don't know what town government takes care of it or who has what part. I think people that go to Rye Town Park just automatically assume, because it's in Rye, if there's a problem, the city of Rye should be taking care of it. The average park goer sees these problems, and they aren't going to tell anybody because they don't know who to go to. There's not good communication. There's not good information on the website. I have texts from, I have people that have just arrived that thought the meeting here was at 8 o'clock tonight because that's the information they got off the website. The problems at Rye Town Park have been going on for a long time. I won't even get in right now to what you guys do to the grass. You all pat yourselves on the back at how many fewer cars you're parking on the grass, but compared to what it was 4 years ago, I don't think that's much of an improvement. 50% of that park is dead grass because it never gets an opportunity to rejuvenate in the summer and spring months when it should. It's a glorified parking lot. I think it's disgraceful. I don't think there's any attention given to the environmental aspects of the park. Crawford Park got cleaned up a whole lot faster. Rye Town Park didn't get cleaned up until I made the video. And I was going to Crawford Park and checking it out. I have a video of Crawford Park also and how bad it was. And within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, Crawford Park was looking really good. You could walk through Crawford Park and you wouldn't have known that there was a devastating hurricane that brought down 40 trees because they'd done such a great job of cleaning it up. Meanwhile, we can't even get light bulbs changed at Rye Town Park. Now, I don't want to throw Crawford Park under the bus because I love that park too. But what the concern for me really kicked in when I spent enough time walking around down there wondering why everything was looking so shabby and neglected and more things kept breaking. And then I found out that everybody that was supposed to be doing stuff at the park had been fired and that there wasn't going to be anybody going down there at all. And there was a lot of confusion until about 2 or 3 weeks later when the story broke that it was part of a larger firing, and I understand budget layoffs and all that. I don't think I know anybody that's satisfied that these parks are going to be better taken care of now. It was bad enough before, and I think everybody's real concern is that it's going to get even worse. And it can't get worse. It just can't get worse. How, in all fairness to Bishop, he could possibly be expected to do the job that he does, which is probably a full-time job and a half, and if you fired a third of your staff, I'm sure he's taking on more assignments than just additionally having to worry about the parks. I don't know how you people can reasonably think that you can't have at least one person that's in charge of keeping an eye just on the parks. It's just not realistic. It's not. It's not realistic. Those are two huge parks. They take a lot of maintenance. Rye Town Park has so many issues going on because of the beach and the parking and all of the other things that need to be looked at. In all fairness to him, he's got enough to do. How can you possibly expect him to take on that whole ball of wax, too? I think this was I know you have to save money. I understand there were budget cuts. I understand there were layoffs. We all understand that. There was no public discussion about these layoffs as far as anybody knows. I haven't talked to anybody that said they heard about it or were talked about it ahead of time. It was apparently done in a closed-door budget session. I don't even know if that's legal. Another question I had about the layoffs was if they were contingent on passing the 2013 budget, why were these people laid off before the budget was passed? I don't get how that works, because this news came out before the meeting. It was in the newspaper that they'd been laid off weeks before, and I got the newspaper the day before you even had Rye Town even had the budget meeting to pass the budget. So there are a lot of questions that people have, and I hope other people will get up here and talk, because I know that there are a lot of concerns in this community, but you can't neglect your parks and you can't ignore them. And everything I took on that video, none of that happened since these guys were fired. None of that was just because of the hurricane. This was a perfect example of how long-term neglect was accumulating and accumulating and accumulating. The park looks great and all the lights are on and that's wonderful, but it's not my job. I'm not the maintenance guy at the park and I'm not on salary, and I spend a lot of time there, and if I see something really wrong, I'll call. But the people in charge of the park need to pay attention to what's going on down there. And they need to do a better job because it hasn't been getting done. That park is not being taken well care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carvin.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to give the board an opportunity to respond.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd like to respond with a couple of items. First of all, what I'm going to say, Supervisor Carvin has told, you have heard this from me already, and I would just want to clear this for the record. You referred to the fact that there were budget cuts with respect to the park and that decisions were made. I want everyone to know that the board up here, with the exception of Supervisor Carvin, had no knowledge of that. And I think that was wrong, and I've said that to Supervisor Carvin. I will never say anything publicly that I don't say privately. I think that was absolutely wrong. We are the fiduciaries of the park, and we are the ones who are making decisions about its maintenance, about its future, and how it should be kept on a day-to-day basis. It is a convoluted structure, the fact that you have the town of Rye, which is separate from the Rye Town Parks Commission, and they are intertwined. On the other hand, I shouldn't find out from an outside source that issues of maintenance and how it's going to be handled going forward should come from a source other than you, Supervisor Carvin, a member of your board, Bishop. Because we're going to be voting on a budget. I may not agree with the idea of privatizing. I may not agree to that. And I understand that Rye Town wants to save money. Look, I serve as the mayor of Rybrook. I want to save money as well. I understand high taxes, but you have to do it in a methodical way. You can't just make a decision and then act afterwards to correct it. If, in fact, you're going to take the idea that you want to privatize it or outsource it, it has to be done orderly. Because right now, Ms. Curran did I pronounce your name correctly? Yes. Is referring to something that may have happened months ago, before all of this. But we're dealing with a situation right now in Rye Town Park, also in Crawford Park. Crawford Park is in Rybrook. Obviously, Rye Town Park is in the city of Rye, and it has effect on everyone. We've worked very hard, and where I take exception, Ms. Curran, I think we've worked very hard over the years, and I have to compliment Supervisor Carvin and Bishop and all of the people on this commission who've worked hard to improve the park. And I also want to thank the Friends of the Rye Town Park and also all the committees of residents of the city of Rye who've been instrumental in improving the park from where it was many years ago. Are we there yet? Of course not. But I'm very concerned about where we go from here and how the park can be maintained. And I'll tell you one of my greatest concerns. I've sat up here for almost 5 years. I'm only going to be sitting up here for 2 meetings after here because I'm not going to be the mayor of Rybrook after March 31st. But I've always said one of the concerns that I have, or one of the goals, is to get the residents of the town of Rye and the residents of the city of Rye back into the park. When we've looked at the numbers over the years, it's been about a 90-10 split. 90% of the residents are not from the town of Rye and not from the city of Rye. They're from outside, even though we're the source of funding. And my problem, or my concern is, if the park deteriorates, if it's not maintained, the people in this room, and I would, by show of hands, how many of you live in the city of Rye? You're not going to use it. And that's not the goal here. And that's my concern. I understand, Supervisor Carvin, that you want to save taxes and you need to reduce. And these are difficult budgetary times. But it can't be a knee-jerk reaction. And I'm sure you have ways, and my concern is Bishop Nowotnik is a very hard-working gentleman, very, very hard, and Fred is, and Bill Lawyer, but there's just so much you can do. And I say that. It's even hard. We meet once a month. I can't even get an agenda more than 48 hours in advance. And, you know, I'm frustrated by that because you're so overworked. It's not that you don't want to do it. We don't even have a budget this evening that I've seen. And that's it. I don't mean it to be a criticism. It's the fact, how much can you be stretched? And those are the concerns that I have. But I want to clear for the record, I didn't know about Rye Town Park. I also didn't know about Crawford Park as well. I'm concerned with both. One is in Rybrook. I serve as mayor, and the other is in the city of Rye. And I take my fiduciary responsibilities as a commissioner of this park very seriously, even though maybe very few residents of Rybrook use it. But I take my fiduciary responsibility, as I said, of concern and of well, I don't want to say anymore. So I guess I'm airing my frustration, and I actually concur with part of what you said, because I do want to compliment Supervisor Carvin and his staff, who've really worked hard in conjunction with many City of Rye residents to improve the park over the years.
Other comments from the board?
Sure. First of all, I want to thank Ms. Curran for bringing the attention of the park condition to our attention. Like Mayor Feinstein, I was informed about the staffing change when I got it on my Google alert, when it hit the news, basically. And respectfully, as supervisor of the town, Supervisor Carvin has a lot of decision authority for the town, but really the structure of this body, the Rye Town Park Commission, it's different, right? And we rely on the town to provide services, but it's important that we be a part of that decision-making process, I feel, and that we be informed. Mowing the lawn is but one aspect of the care and feeding of Rye Town Park. And it's all these other things, right, that people see. In fact, you have to do these other things probably more often throughout the year than mowing the lawn, which is really just a seasonal activity. Rye Town Park's a year-round facility, and much of the staff that's been identified in the report that we recently got is seasonal. It's great that Mr. Lawyer is so dedicated to the park, but you're not full-time, are you, Bill? No. Right? Fred, you're not full-time, are you? No. You know, so it's, right, you're part-time, it's seasonal, and it's a year-round park, and even though it's an active park for the warm weather season, that care and feeding that the park needs, so to speak, is a year-round responsibility, and we need to make sure that it's properly tended to. Obviously, the management of the park needs to be improved. I don't think by reducing the hands-on deck, it's going to be further improved. And I don't mean this in any disparaging way towards Supervisor Carvin or Mr. Nowotnik, certainly, who I think you guys do a great job, and we've made tremendous strides, I think, in advancing the park and the budget. But this is, you know, from a first things first, we have to do the mission and figure out a way to do it cost-effectively also. While it's tangential to this meeting's agenda, I have similar concerns about Crawford Park, as Mayor Feinstein mentioned, because like Rybrook, Portchester and Rybrook have vested rights and vested interest in using Crawford Park, and probably more Portchester residents use Crawford Park than Rye Town Park, just because of the proximity, right, to our village. So I think that's something that we need to be concerned with as well, as we rely on Rye Town to maintain that park year-round as well. And
I will share that Supervisor Carvin and I are actually having a meeting this week on that, so the dialogue will start. So that is good. On Crawford Park.
Any comments from the board, please? Yep.
I agree completely with Mayor Feinstein and Mayor Pilla, and thank you, Deirdre, for coming to the meeting tonight to raise this issue. You were at the Rye City Council meeting a couple weeks ago to raise the same issue. I think at that time it was the first I'd heard about the layoffs, and or maybe I'd heard earlier that day, but it was a surprise to all of us in Rye. I think Rye Town Park is just a beautiful, beautiful park, and I think this issue of maintenance, especially in the off-season, points to an issue that's been around for years, which is that the residents of Rye and Rye Town, Rye Town and Rye City, tend to use the park mostly in the off-season. So we can't ignore the park in the off-season, or we really ignore our residents. That's all I really want to add. And thank you again for bringing this to everyone's attention.
Mayor French.
Apologies for being late. Mayor Pilla, congratulations on revitalizing the city, but there's the village, but there's no place to park. So.
Good problem to have, right?
You know, can it get worse? Absolutely. It can get much, much worse. Think back 2008, 2009. There were cars parked at every square inch of this park, up to the wall on Forest Avenue, down Rye Beach Avenue. There were cars driving around aimlessly looking for parking spots. There were stories going back decades of bags of cash leaving the park every day. It wasn't safe for pedestrians. It wasn't safe for Rye residents. Cars were backed up down Forest Avenue trying to get into the park every weekend. I've talked to residents that have lived there 25 plus years. The last 2-3 years, they've seen a tremendous positive change to the park. So can it get worse? Absolutely. We've put financial controls. I wasn't elected even 7 hours, and I started getting emails from people that lived around the park saying you've got to drive change. First thing we did is reach out to Chairman Carvin. We met that night, and he said, this is the first I've heard that Rye wants to change things. He helped drive change in that park. It is a fabulous facility. We now have cost controls. The people in front of me, from Bishop to Fred to Terry, have invested their own personal time. We've opened up community forums. Every 6 months we have a community forum. We have an advisory board that helps advise this commission. So, yeah, I get Sandy hit. I get every year we have a break between off-season and in-season. I get all of that. But to say that that's reflective of the positive change, think back. People used to urinate between cars, parked in the park. It was not that people talk about the broken window syndrome. That was the broken window syndrome. We've instituted signage. We've instituted more staff. Bill Lawyer's done a great job with programs. So I cannot disagree more. Yes, was there a blip after Sandy? As mayor of the city of Rye, we've had to put tremendous resources against all the coastal damage that we've had. Getting resources and dollars and people's time. But to say that that's reflective of the change in this park is just, it's misleading. And what the video doesn't show, all the hours of time that people have put in, the decisions, the investment, the time of this commission. So, do we need to fix lights? Do we need to make improvements? Absolutely. But that's not reflective of what Ryetown Park is today. As far as going forward, I think it's fair criticism. We have a different relationship with Ryetown. We're a city. We don't roll up to the town. So I don't expect to be privy to decisions that the Ryetown supervisor is making. If it impacts the park, our mandate is simple. We want the level of service to remain the same. But we've had to go through difficult decisions, laying people off. It's not easy. But the cost of the municipal worker, people don't realize. The cost of our budget on municipal workers in the city of Rye, where pension and retirement, or pension and health care benefits used to be a very small percentage, it's eating up a tremendous amount of percentage. So we are trading off ourselves in the city of Rye. How do we maintain level of services and the level of staff? It is extremely difficult. I have faith that they will be able to make the model work, but it's a fair criticism, and I'd like to hear from the chairman on the future plan. However, I'm not willing to say that this is a broken situation. I think it's extremely positive. And again, you talk about broken window, go back to 2008, 2009. That, to me, was nobody was in charge. Now we have somebody in charge. We may disagree with some of the decisions, but let's debate and work it through. Chairman?
Thank you, Mayor French. Thank you very much. Well, listen, number of issues to address. First and foremost, Ms. Curran, thank you so much for your comments. Thank you so much for your video. At the end of the day, clearly, to watch that video is deeply embarrassing to me and my staff. That's very, very fair. I think that, I'm very happy for you to draw whatever conclusions you want from the video. As I say, that was deeply embarrassing, and I'm glad you've recognized the fact that everything that was brought up in that video has since been addressed. I think that's the first time I recollect you ever coming to a community meeting. As Mayor French says, we've had a number of different meetings. I don't recollect you having been at other meetings. I don't know.
I've been in a number of them.
Okay. So, anyway, so thank you for your video. In terms of the various comments you made, I think it's a little bit disparaging to say that the progress we made with the cars is, inadequate. Clearly, I felt that the commission worked very hard with the citizens of Rye and tried to find a balance and equilibrium across Rye Town, Rye City to accommodate. Now, at the end of the day, there was one participant said there should be no cars in the park. That's a fair-minded view to take. It's not the decision this commission made. I'm surprised that some of my fellow board members are not, so then the question is, okay, because you had two sets of criticism, one before the staff was let go, and the second set of criticisms after the staff was let go. If I heard you correctly, you were fairly dissatisfied with the staff that was there. I heard you say that there were lights out this summer. I don't know. I'm quite at a loss, Mr. Joffrey, Mr. Lawyer, to see how we went through the summer and didn't notice the lights being out. How did that happen? Yeah, please, yeah. In fact, I want to give you an opportunity to respond, as much as you like.
Well, I have to say that I'm kind of appalled at the accusations that are pointed toward the park. In the 5 years that I've been there, and the 5 years that this commission's been here, there have been so many decisions that were made that helped the park become what it is today. Going back a few years when we had parking throughout the whole park, every square inch of the park, and so forth and so on, the board made a decision to cut back 250 spaces, which I personally disagreed with. I didn't make that a public disagreement, but it turned out that the board was right, because when they tweaked the prices for the park, we were more than able to make up the difference in our revenue. This park is driven by weather, and if the weather's not good, the park doesn't do well. If the weather's good, the park does well. We've made changes in absolutely every area in managing that park that possibly could be done, from working very closely with the Friends of Rye-Town Park. We've never had a better relationship with that group. They've been a wonderful advisory board. The parking committee, I disagreed in the beginning with it, but it turned out to be a good decision. We were able to overcome the dollar value of what we lost. We have, we've implemented tree, and Bill could speak more on this than me. We feed the roots of those trees, which were never done before, to strengthen the trees. When the trees go down, we've removed them as quickly as we can, and we've replaced them with similar trees. We know every tree in that park. We know the type of tree that it is. We aerate the area that's mostly used for parking. We've implemented financial reforms there with Terry overseeing them, to the point where everything that goes through that park is documented and backed up. We changed the front of the park where we're numbered the cars that come in. We know every car that comes in there and the times they come in. We fine-tune that to the degree that we can determine and then make decisions on where to put in deals for the summer. The board has tweaked the prices a number of times.
Mr. Jeff, what about the lights out in the summertime? I'm just wondering how you could...
Anytime that's happened and we find out about it, we correct it. But what happens is that some of them are on timers, and the timer itself, the little thing that clicks them on and clicks them off, falls off, and then they get out of tune. We have to go back and retune them.
Okay.
Now, when we brought in the landscaper to cut the grass, we switched over our duties to repairing the cement work in the park. Last year we did a tremendous amount of repair of cement work, and we painted the walls that hadn't been painted in years and years, both sides and in the front and all the way down. We've brought control of the pavilion usage under our tutelage, so everything goes through Terry. She not only meets with the people, and there's a lot of time that's put into that. She actually works with them through the whole setup for their function, and we have staff there to watch over everything that they need. We have security there. We've revamped our security people. Our security people are now trained in some very professional duties, same as the lifeguards. They know CPR, and many of them are certified, and our security chief is certified, and on. There have been so many positive changes at that park. Do we fall short at times? Sure. We have some difficulties in some areas, but we're on them amazingly quick. Anytime Mayor French called us, we got on it. Anytime Joe came down there and swam at the beach, we put our security guys walking the beach. There's so many positive things we've done. So my goal is to continue that as a whole with the same management that was there for the last 4 years, and continue servicing the people that use that beach.
All right, thank you, Mr. Joffrey. Bill and Terry, are you guys happy for me to proceed? Did you want to, Sandy, did you want to add anything, or did...
you mean about the lights, or...
Well, just anything. I don't know if you want to respond.
Well, my particular area is the programs, the park development, trying to make the park a more fun place for people to enjoy, and not just as far as the beach, but all the other things that go along with being near the water. And having lived in my house, which is 3 blocks from the park, ever since 1975, I feel like I've seen the comings and goings and changes over the many years of that time. And I know there's always room for improvement, and as a person who walks dogs early in the morning, I'm aware of the lighting situations that go on. We inherited a very complicated lighting system there at the park, and there's different circuits, there's different meters. We have to work out how we can do our electric bills with the restaurant. There's all sorts of electrical issues, one of which has to do with the pond, which was renovated thanks to the help of Town Park, friends of Town Park. We have this nice, greatly expanded, wildlife-friendly pond, but because of the various issues of heat and overfeeding of the wildlife and so on, you have this issues of algae. Therefore, you need to have aerators, and you need to have systems that go on and off. So it's a complicated system. Over the years, we've more or less been learning as we go along. We're looking forward to this year implementing a new system of electrical service for the pond to manage the pond more efficiently, and I'm sure we'll be doing the same thing with the lights, because in fact I even suggested that one of our goals is to have a locator map, sort of a template that we can use so we could show where every light, which circuit each light is on, because there are at least 4 or 5 different circuits, some of which are not supposed to be on at night. The ones that are kind of in the middle, the main ones that we're concerned about are the ones along the path, and we shouldn't have to reinvent the wheel, but we should be able to basically have a system so if this light is out, which circuit it is, where it is, and I know that Bishop has tried to get additional parts because the globes are a very special kind of a globe for those lights, and these are the details, and yes, I think there's area for improvement, but we know what the needs are, and we're working on them so far as that goes. Back to the entertainment and the thing last year.
I think just quickly.
We had a record number. We had 8 concerts last year. We had the outdoor movie that was funded through Carpet Trends and coordinated by the Friends of Town Park. We had the Shakespeare in the Park for the 2nd year in a row, and of course we have all these other big events that are community-oriented, that we work with the groups like the Cancer Society, the Triathlon, to have events which bring real valuable services and activities to all the people who live not only in Rye, but in Rybrook and all the other surrounding communities. So these are areas which we feel have really stimulated more desire for people to be at the park, and we look forward to working with people, and certainly any of the groups that have concerns about any of the issues, we'll have a system set up. I think as we find out what the plans are for maintenance, we'll have a system set up so that we can monitor things closely and get the feedback that we need from the community.
Wonderful. Thanks, Mr. Lurt. Well, look, so basically, Oh, well, but I wanted, before you come up, Catherine, if you wouldn't mind. Well, okay, go ahead. Might as well take address all the questions at the same time.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to all of you. Catherine Parker, City of Rye. So my first question, just out of the comments from Mr. Nowotnik and Mr. Joffrey, last year, who was responsible for doing like the daily walkthrough of the park?